My wife got pregnant during her affair and tried to pass the baby off as mine. I held the pregnancy test in my hand, staring at the two pink lines, and felt nothing but dread. My wife, Kate, was in the bathroom doorway, smiling with tears in her eyes, waiting for me to react with joy. But all I could think about was the math. The terrible, undeniable math that meant this baby, this child my wife was carrying, couldn't possibly be mine. Hey Reddit, this is the story of how I discovered my wife was having an affair with her personal trainer, got pregnant with his child, and tried to pass the baby off as mine. I'm Mike, 34 years old. And what I'm about to tell you will make you question everything you think you know about the person sleeping next to you at night. You know that feeling when something's wrong, but you can't quite articulate it? When your partner changes in subtle ways that individually seem harmless, but collectively form a pattern of distance and deception? That's where this story begins. But let me start from the beginning, because to understand how completely Kate betrayed me, you need to understand what our marriage was and how I missed all the warning signs staring me directly in the face. I met Kate 8 years ago when I was 26 and she was 24. I was working as a software engineer at a tech startup in Austin, making about $85,000 a year. Kate was just getting her real estate license, working as an assistant at a brokerage while studying for her exams. We met at a mutual friend's backyard barbecue, connected over our shared love of hiking and travel, and started dating within a month. Kate was energetic, ambitious, social. She had this infectious enthusiasm that made everyone around her feel more alive. She talked about building a successful real estate career, about the life she wanted to create, about starting a family someday when we were both established. I loved her vision, her drive, her optimism about our future together. We dated for a year before moving in together. By then, I'd gotten a significant raise to $95,000, and Kate had passed her licensing exam and was starting to build her client base. We rented a nice 2-bedroom apartment, talked about marriage, planned weekend trips together. Everything felt right, easy, natural. I proposed after 2 years of dating. Simple proposal during a hike at our favorite trail, nothing elaborate, just me and her and the question I'd been wanting to ask for months. She said yes immediately, kissed me, started crying, happy tears. We got married 6 months later in a medium-sized wedding with about 100 guests, family, friends, colleagues, nothing extravagant, but beautiful and meaningful. The first few years of marriage were good. I got promoted to senior software engineer at $110,000. Then lead engineer at $120,000. Kate's real estate career took off. She became one of the top agents at her brokerage, making between $60,000 and $70,000 annually, depending on the market. We bought a house, a nice 3-bedroom in a good neighborhood. Started talking seriously about having kids. We tried for a baby starting around year 5 of marriage. It didn't happen immediately, which stressed Kate out. She read everything about fertility, tracked her ovulation, religiously scheduled sex around her cycle. It started to feel clinical rather than intimate, but I understood her desire to start a family. I wanted kids too. After a year of trying with no success, we both got tested. The results showed nothing wrong of us. We were just in the percentage of couples where it takes longer. The doctor recommended we keep trying, stay relaxed about it, and consider fertility treatments if another year passed without success. Kate became obsessed. Every month that passed without pregnancy felt like a failure to her. She'd get her period and cry, see pregnant women or babies and get emotional. She started pulling away from friends who were having kids, saying it was too painful to be around them. I tried to be supportive, but her obsession was affecting our marriage. Our sex life became mechanical, only during her fertile window, only in positions that supposedly maximized conception chances. There was no spontaneity, no romance, just desperate baby making that left us both feeling stressed and disconnected. About 18 months ago, Kate announced she wanted to get healthier to improve her fertility. I've read that fitness and weight loss can help with conception. I want to optimize everything. That's great, I said, supportive. We can start working out together. Actually, I think I want to hire a personal trainer, someone who can create a customized program for my goals. Okay, if that's what you want, how much will that cost? Around $400 a month for 3 sessions per week. It's an investment in our future family. I couldn't argue with that framing. If fitness would help us conceive, $400 monthly was worth it. Kate hired a trainer named Tom through her gym. She started going to sessions 3 times per week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, at 6 a.m. before work. Within a few weeks, she'd added additional gym time on Tuesdays and Thursdays, then weekend workouts. Within 2 months, Kate was spending 10, 12 hours per week at the gym. This seems like a lot, I commented. Are you sure you're not overdoing it? Tom says consistency is key. I'm finally seeing results. Don't you notice? I did notice. Kate was getting very fit, losing weight, toning up, looking objectively great, but I also noticed other changes. She was dressing differently, more athletic wear, tighter clothes that showed off her new physique. She was taking more selfies at the gym, posting workout photos on Instagram constantly. She seemed more focused on her appearance than I'd ever seen. You look amazing, I told her genuinely. I'm proud of your dedication. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Thanks, I'm working really hard. I suggested we work out together sometimes, but Kate always had excuses. Tom has me on a specific program. It wouldn't work with someone else. Or, I need to focus during my workouts. No distractions. Around month 3 of Kate's fitness journey, I started noticing behavioral changes that had nothing to do with exercise. She became critical of me in ways she'd never been before. You're putting on weight, Mike. You should come to the gym with me. I'm the same weight I've always been. Exactly. You're not taking care of yourself. It's not attractive. That stung. I was 5'11", 180 pounds, perfectly healthy BMI. I wasn't a gym rat, but I wasn't out of shape either. Kate had never commented negatively on my appearance before. She started criticizing other aspects of my life too. My work schedule. You're always at your computer. It's boring. My hobbies. Video games, really? That's what you do with your free time? My social life. Your friends are so immature. Don't you want to spend time with more interesting people? Every conversation felt like an evaluation I was failing. Nothing I did was good enough. Nothing about me was interesting or attractive anymore. We went from being partners to being roommates who occasionally had scheduled sex during Kate's fertile windows. Our sex life deteriorated. Kate was often too tired from her workouts, or she'd agree to sex but seemed distant, disconnected, like she was mentally somewhere else. The enthusiasm and passion that used to define our intimate life had evaporated entirely. I tried to talk to her about it. Kate, I feel like we're drifting apart. You're so focused on fitness and fertility that you've forgotten about us. I'm doing this for us, Mike, so we can have a baby. Why don't you appreciate that? I do appreciate it, but I miss you. I miss feeling connected to you. Maybe if you made more effort to better yourself, we'd feel more connected. Always back to my inadequacies, my lack of fitness, my boring job, my uninteresting hobbies. The problem was never her distance. It was my failure to be worth connecting with. 5 months into Kate's fitness obsession, I was paying our credit card bill online and noticed something strange. 3 charges to the Riverside Inn, a boutique hotel about 20 minutes from our house. $150 or $180 and $160, all during weekday daytime hours, all on days when I'd been at work and Kate should have been showing houses or at the gym. I asked her about it casually. Hey, I saw some charges to the Riverside Inn on our card. What are those from? Kate barely looked up from her phone. Oh, I met some clients there. They preferred that location for discussing their home search. Why wouldn't you meet them at your office or at a coffee shop? They're high-end clients, Mike. They expect a certain level of service. Meeting at a nice hotel lounge shows I'm professional and accommodating. It seemed plausible. Kate did. Work. With wealthy clients sometimes, meeting at upscale locations might be part of the job. But over the next month, I noticed 3 more charges. $175, $145, and $200. All during daytime hours, all at the same hotel. I checked our credit card statements more carefully. Going back 4 months, there were 11 total charges to the Riverside Inn, nearly $2,000 worth. That's a lot of client meetings. I looked up the Riverside Inn online. It was a small luxury hotel, 15 rooms, known for being romantic and discreet. The website emphasized privacy and intimate atmosphere. It wasn't the kind of place you'd meet real estate clients. It was the kind of place you'd go for an affair. My stomach dropped. Was Kate cheating on me? With who? When? I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the charges were legitimate. Maybe I was being paranoid and jealous. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation. But I couldn't shake the feeling. The hotel charges, the constant gym time, the distance between us, the criticism, the emotional disconnection, all of it started to form a picture I didn't want to see. I considered confronting her directly, but worried she'd lie or gaslight me. I considered hiring a private investigator, but felt guilty about not trusting my wife. So I did nothing. Just sat with my suspicions and tried to convince myself I was imagining problems that didn't exist. Then, 7 months into Kate's fitness journey, I had to take a work trip. 2 weeks in Seattle for a major project launch. I didn't want to go, didn't want to leave Kate for that long given how disconnected we'd become, but it was mandatory, critical for my career. I couldn't say no. "I'll miss you," I told Kate before leaving. "I'll miss you too," she said, but her tone was flat, perfunctory, like she was saying the expected words without any real feeling behind them. I was gone for 14 days. The project was intense. Long hours, high stress, barely any time for personal calls. I'd text Kate goodnight most evenings, but often fell asleep before she responded. The few times we did video calls, she seemed distracted, distant, uninterested in my day or the work I was doing. When I returned home, Kate seemed different, lighter somehow, almost giddy. She was affectionate in ways she hadn't been in months, greeting me with a real kiss, asking about my trip with genuine interest, making my favorite dinner. "I missed you," she said that night, snuggling against me on the couch. "I missed you too. You seem happy. Did something good happen while I was gone?" "No, just glad you're home, that's all." 2 weeks after I returned from Seattle, Kate handed me a pregnancy test with 2 pink lines. "We're pregnant, Mike. We're finally pregnant." I should have been thrilled. We'd been trying for over 2 years. This was everything we'd wanted. But as I held that test, my mind immediately went to the math. I'd been gone for 2 weeks. Returned on May 15th. Kate was showing me this positive test on May 29th, exactly 2 weeks after my return. Pregnancy tests detect pregnancy roughly 2 weeks after conception, which meant Kate would have conceived around May 15th, right when I got home, except that's not how pregnancy timing works. Conception happens during ovulation, then it takes about 2 weeks for the pregnancy hormone to build up enough to show on a test, which means Kate conceived approximately 2 weeks before the positive test, around May 15th, the day I returned from Seattle. But I'd been in Seattle for 2 weeks before that. I'd been gone from May 1st through May 14th. If Kate conceived around May 15th when I got home, the pregnancy test wouldn't show positive until roughly May 29th. The timing worked barely. If Kate conceived the day I got home, the test would show positive about 2 weeks later, but something felt wrong. Kate tracked her ovulation obsessively. She would know her fertile window, and I remembered from our calendar that her fertile window had been during my trip, May 5th through May 10th, right in the middle of my 2 weeks in Seattle. I looked at Kate, smiling and crying and waiting for my reaction. "That's amazing," I said, pulling her into a hug while my mind raced. "I can't believe it finally happened. I know. After all this time, we're going to be parents." Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about the timing. I tried to calculate whether the conception could have happened after I got home. Maybe Kate's ovulation had been late that month. Maybe the dates I remembered were wrong. Maybe I was overthinking because of my earlier suspicions about the hotel charges, but I couldn't shake it. The math didn't feel right. The timing didn't work. And all those months of distance, criticism, mysterious hotel charges, and Kate's obsession with her trainer Tom suddenly seemed connected to this pregnancy in ways that terrified me. I needed more information. I went back through our shared calendar where Kate tracked everything, including her cycle. Her ovulation that month had been marked for May 7th to 9th, right in the middle of my Seattle trip. Her fertile window was May 5th to 10th. I'd been gone. I couldn't have been the father if she conceived during her fertile window. Unless she'd been wrong about her ovulation dates, unless it had happened later than expected, unless she'd conceived the day I got home outside her predicted fertile window, but still biologically possible. But Kate never got her cycle wrong. She'd been tracking obsessively for 2 years. She used ovulation predictor kits. She knew her body's rhythms better than anyone. The idea that she'd suddenly been off by a week seemed unlikely. I started watching Kate more carefully, looking for signs. She was excited about the pregnancy, scheduling her first OB appointment, reading pregnancy books, telling her family the good news. She seemed genuinely happy, thrilled that we were finally having the baby we'd been trying for. But she also seemed nervous around me, like she was watching my reactions, gauging whether I suspected anything. When I'd ask questions about consent timing or when she thought it had happened, she'd get vague. "Who knows? Maybe that last try before your trip, or maybe when you got home." Thus, bodies are unpredictable. Bodies aren't that unpredictable when you've been tracking ovulation for 2 years. 3 weeks into Kate's pregnancy, I made a decision I never thought I'd make. I hired a private investigator. I found David Chen through online research. Experienced, discreet, specialized in infidelity cases. I met with him at a coffee shop far from my neighborhood. What do you need to know? I explained everything. The hotel charges, Kate's fitness obsession with her trainer Tom, the distance in our marriage, the pregnancy that might not be mine based on conception timing, the suspicion that Kate had been having an affair and was now pregnant with another man's child. David listened without judgment. This is more common than you'd think. People assume pregnancy locks in paternity, but with DNA testing now, the truth usually comes out. What's your goal here? I need to know if she's having an affair. If she is, I need proof. Photos, documentation, something definitive before I confront her. And if the baby isn't yours, then I need to know that too before I'm legally presumed the father. Understood. I'll start surveillance immediately. Given the trainer angle, I'll focus on her gym time, her schedule when you're at work, and any contact with this Tom. Usually takes about a week to establish patterns. I paid David's retainer, $3,000, and went home to my pregnant wife who greeted me with a smile and updates about her first OB appointment scheduled for the following week. David worked fast. Within 3 days, he'd identified Tom, 27 years old, personal trainer at Kate's gym, single, drove a blue Honda Civic. He'd established that Kate's training sessions with Tom were real. She did meet him at the gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, but David also found that Kate was meeting Tom other times, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons during what she'd told me were work hours showing houses, Saturday mornings during what she'd claimed was solo gym time, and critically, David followed them to the Riverside Inn twice in 1 week. Kate and Tom arriving separately, entering the hotel, staying for 2 to 3 hours, leaving separately. He photographed them kissing in the hotel parking lot before going inside, photographed them coming out disheveled, laughing, touching each other with obvious intimacy. David's report landed like a bomb. Pages of documentation, timestamps, photos of Kate and Tom at the hotel, at his apartment, in his car, a clear pattern of an affair that had been going on for at least 5 months, coinciding exactly with when Kate hired Tom as her trainer. The photos were undeniable. Kate kissing Tom. Kate getting into Tom's car and driving to his apartment. Kate entering the Riverside Inn with Tom and staying for hours. My wife, pregnant and glowing, having an affair with her 27-year-old personal trainer while I worked to support us and believed we were building our family together. I sat in my car in my work parking lot reading David's report, looking at photos of my wife betraying me, and felt my entire world collapse. The pregnancy wasn't mine, couldn't be mine based on the timing and the evidence of Kate's ongoing affair. She'd conceived during my Seattle trip, during her actual fertile window with Tom, and now she was planning to pass this baby off as mine, lock me into 18 years of child support for another man's child, and continue her affair while I raised a kid that wasn't biologically mine. The calculation was cold, cruel, deliberate. Kate knew the baby wasn't mine. She had to know based on timing, but she'd smiled and cried and celebrated with me anyway, letting me believe I was going to be a father when really I was just her convenient cover story for an affair baby. I called David. I need to know about paternity testing. What are my options? You can request prenatal paternity testing through your attorney once you file for divorce. It's done through blood draw from the mother, completely safe for the baby, or you can wait until after birth. But if the baby's born while you're still married, you're legally presumed the father in most states, which complicates things. Best to file for divorce now. Request testing before birth. What if she refuses testing? Court can order it, especially if you have evidence suggesting infidelity during probable conception window. Your evidence is strong. Judge will likely order prenatal testing. I thanked David, paid his final invoice, and drove home with a folder full of evidence that my marriage was over and my wife was carrying another man's child. Kate was in the kitchen making dinner when I got home, 8 weeks pregnant, humming to herself, one hand unconsciously on her still flat stomach. "Hey, honey, how was work?" she called out cheerfully. I looked at her. This woman I'd loved for 8 years, married for 7, tried to start a family with for 2 years, and felt nothing but cold betrayal. "Fine," I said. Work was fine. I went to our home office, closed the door, and started researching divorce attorneys. Because whatever happened next, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. Kate's lie was going to cost her everything she thought she'd secured with this pregnancy, and I was going to make sure the truth came out before another man's child became my legal responsibility. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Kate was 8 weeks pregnant with another man's child, sleeping peacefully beside me, completely unaware that I knew the truth. Every time I looked at her, I saw the photos David had provided. Kate kissing Tom in the parking lot, Kate entering the hotel with him, Kate's hand in his as they walked to his apartment, my wife carrying another man's baby, planning to pass it off as mine. Around 3 a.m., I got up and went to the home office. I couldn't lie there anymore, pretending everything was normal. I needed a plan, a strategy, a way to handle this that would protect me legally, financially, and emotionally. I spent the early morning hours researching family law in Texas. What I learned terrified me. In Texas, if a child is born during a marriage, the husband is legally presumed to be the father, regardless of biological reality. Even if I knew the baby wasn't mine, even if I had proof of Kate's affair, if that baby was born while we were still married, I could be on the hook for child support for 18 years. The only way to avoid that presumption was to establish paternity, or lack thereof, before or immediately after birth, which meant I needed to file for divorce now, request prenatal paternity testing through the court, and make sure the truth was legally documented before this baby arrived. At 8 a.m., I called in sick to work, told my manager I had a family emergency and needed a few days. Then I started calling divorce attorneys. The first 3 I reached were booked out for weeks. The fourth, Jennifer Walsh, had an opening that afternoon due to a cancellation. "What's the nature of your case?" her assistant asked. "My wife is pregnant with another man's child, trying to pass it off as mine. I have proof of the affair, and I need to file for divorce before the baby is born to avoid being legally presumed the father." Silence. Then, "Ms. Walsh can see you at 2 p.m. today. Bring all documentation you have." Kate was at work when I left for the attorney's office. She'd texted me around 10 a.m. "Feeling a little nauseous today? Morning sickness kicking in. How are you feeling about becoming a dad?" I didn't respond, couldn't find words that weren't filled with rage or devastation. Jennifer Walsh was in her late 40s, sharp and efficient. I showed her everything. David's investigative report, the photos, the timeline of Kate's affair, the credit card statements showing hotel charges, the calendar showing my Seattle trip coincided with Kate's fertile window. She reviewed it methodically, making notes. When she finished, she looked up at me with professional sympathy. "This is a strong case. The evidence is clear. Your wife has been having an affair with her trainer for approximately 5 months. The pregnancy timing strongly suggests the child is not yours. In Texas, we can request prenatal paternity testing through a court order once we file for divorce. How does that work? It's called non-invasive prenatal paternity testing. Now, it's a blood draw from your wife compared against your DNA sample, completely safe for the baby. The court can order it over her objection if we can show good cause, which we can with this evidence. What if the test proves I'm not the father? Then you're legally off the hook for paternity and child support. We establish that in the divorce decree. The biological father, this Tom, becomes legally and financially responsible. And if Kate refuses to cooperate, she can't refuse a court order. If she does, she can be held in contempt. But, Mr. Harrison, you need to understand something. Filing for divorce when your wife is 2 months pregnant is going to be devastating for her. Publicly exposing the affair and paternity questions will be humiliating. Your friends and family will know. Her friends and family will know. This won't be quiet or private. Good. She tried to trap me into raising another man's child. She deserves every bit of humiliation that comes from the truth." Jennifer nodded. "Then we proceed aggressively. I'll draft divorce papers today. We'll file tomorrow. We'll request immediate temporary orders for you to move out, not because you're at fault, but to establish clear separation before birth. We'll request prenatal paternity testing, and we'll make sure that when this goes to court, there's no question about what happened and who's responsible." "How much will this cost?" "My retainer is $5,000. Total costs will likely be $15,000, $20,000, depending on how much Kate fights. Can you afford that?" I thought about the $120,000 I made annually, the savings Kate and I had built together, the house we owned with about $100,000 in equity. I could afford it, barely. but it was worth every penny to not spend the next 18 years paying for another man's child. I can afford it. Good. Then let's destroy her case before she even knows there is one. I signed the retainer agreement, wrote a check for $5,000, and walked out of Jennifer's office feeling something I hadn't felt in months: control. Kate thought she had this situation managed. She thought I was the oblivious husband who'd accept the pregnancy without question, raise Tom's child as my own, and never discover the truth. She was about to learn how wrong she was. That evening, I came home to find Kate cooking dinner, humming to herself, one hand resting on her stomach, the picture of innocent early motherhood, except nothing about this was innocent. "Hey, honey, I made your favorite, chicken parmesan," she said cheerfully. I looked at her, 8 weeks pregnant, glowing, lying to my face about whose child she was carrying, and felt ice in my veins. "Thanks. I'm not very hungry, though. You need to eat. I need you healthy. We're going to be parents. You need to take care of yourself." The irony was suffocating. She was lecturing me about taking care of myself while carrying another man's baby and lying about paternity. We ate in tense silence. Kate kept trying to make conversation about baby names, nursery plans, telling our families. I gave one-word responses, my mind elsewhere. "Are you okay?" she finally asked. "You've been weird since you got back from Seattle." "I'm fine, just stressed about work." "Well, you need to relax. Stress isn't good for the baby. Your stress isn't good for your baby," I thought. My stress doesn't matter because it's not my baby. The next day, Jennifer filed the divorce papers. I called in sick to work again. Couldn't focus, couldn't function, could barely think straight. Around 2 p.m., Jennifer texted, "Papers filed, process server will serve your wife at her office at 4 p.m. Recommend you not be home when she arrives tonight." I packed a bag, clothes, toiletries, laptop, important documents. I texted my brother Ryan, "Can I stay with you for a few days? I'll explain when I get there." Ryan responded immediately, "Of course. What's going on?" "I'll tell you when I get there. It's bad." I left our house at 3:30 p.m., drove to Ryan's apartment across town, arrived to find him waiting, concerned and confused. "What happened?" I showed him everything. The investigative report, the photos of Kate and Tom, the timeline proving the baby couldn't be mine, the divorce papers I'd filed that afternoon. Ryan's face went through shock, horror, and rage in rapid succession. "Holy shit! Kate's been cheating on you and she's pregnant with his kid?" "Yes, and she was going to let me think it was mine, let me raise it, pay for it, be legally responsible for it, for 18 years. What a fucking monster. What are you going to do?" "I filed for divorce today. She's being served at her office right now. I'm requesting prenatal paternity testing through the court. Once we confirm I'm not the father, I'm walking away from all of it. Do you need anything? Money, a lawyer, someone to punch this Tom guy in the face?" I almost smiled. I have a lawyer. I have money. And punching Tom would feel good but wouldn't help. I just need somewhere to stay while this plays out. Stay as long as you need. At 4:23 p.m., my phone rang. Kate, I didn't answer. She called again and again. Then the texts started. "Mike, where are you? Someone just served me divorce papers at work. What is happening? They call me right now. Mike, please. This is insane. You're divorcing me? I'm pregnant with your baby?" That last one made me see red. I typed out a response. It's not my baby, Kate. I know about Tom. I know about the affair. I know the conception timing means I can't be the father. Stop lying." The phone rang immediately. I answered this time. What are you talking about?" Kate's voice was panicked, high-pitched. "Of course it's your baby. Who is Tom? Tom, your personal trainer. The guy you've been fucking for 5 months. The guy you meet at the Riverside Inn. The guy whose apartment you visit on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons when you're supposed to be showing houses." That Tom, silence, then crying. "Mike, I can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain the photos I have of you kissing him. Explain the hotel charges on our credit card. Explain how I was in Seattle during your fertile window, but somehow you're pregnant. Explain how you were going to pass off his baby as mine. It is your baby. Mike, please, I know the timing looks bad, but the timing doesn't look bad. The timing is definitive. You conceived during my Seattle trip, during your ovulation window that you tracked obsessively. I couldn't have been the father because I wasn't here. Bodies are unpredictable. Maybe I ovulated late. Maybe..." "Kate, stop. I have photos of you with Tom. I have a full investigative report. I have hotel receipts. I have everything. The truth is coming out whether you admit it or not. I've requested prenatal paternity testing through the court. We'll have scientific proof within a few weeks. More crying. Where are you? Come home. Let's talk about this, please. I love you. We can work through this. You don't love me. You've been cheating on me for months. You got pregnant with another man's child and tried to trick me into raising it. It's not love, Kate. That's sociopathic manipulation. I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. Tom means nothing to me. You're my husband. You're the father of my baby. Tom is the father of your baby, and you're about to be my ex-wife. Read the divorce papers, get yourself an attorney, and don't contact me again except through lawyers. I hung up, blocked her number, sat on Ryan's couch feeling hollow and numb and strangely relieved that it was finally out in the open. Over the next week, Kate tried everything. She showed up at my work. Security escorted her out. She sent emails. I filtered them to a folder I didn't read. She contacted my parents, crying and claiming I'd abandoned her while she was pregnant. I sent them the investigative report and they stopped taking her calls. She hired an attorney who sent a letter to Jennifer claiming I was being cruel and unreasonable, that Kate denied the affair and insisted the baby was mine, that I was emotionally abusing her during a vulnerable time. Jennifer responded with the photos, the investigative report, and a formal request for prenatal paternity testing. Kate's attorney went quiet for 3 days, then sent a response agreeing to the testing to put Mr. Harrison's unfounded concerns to rest. The testing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Kate was 10 weeks pregnant. The procedure was simple: blood draw from Kate, cheek swab from me, lab analysis comparing the baby's DNA to mine. Results would take 7 or 10 days. Those 2 weeks were torture. I moved through work mechanically, stayed at Ryan's apartment, avoided everywhere I might run into Kate. I told our close friends what had happened, showed them the evidence, explained why I'd filed for divorce. Most were shocked and supportive. A few tried to suggest I was overreacting, that I should wait for the test results before assuming the worst. The test is a formality, I told them. I already know what it's going to say. The evidence is overwhelming. The day of the testing arrived. Kate and I met at the lab, our first in-person encounter since I'd left. She looked terrible, pale, thin despite the pregnancy, dark circles under her eyes. "Mike, please," she said quietly as we waited. "Can we just talk?" "No, I miss you. I love you. This is killing me." "You should have thought about that before you started fucking your trainer." She flinched, started crying. I felt nothing. No sympathy, no guilt, no softness, just cold detachment. The testing took 20 minutes, blood draw from Kate's arm, cheek swab from me, lab technician explaining we'd have results in 7-10 business days. Then it was done. Kate tried to talk to me in the parking lot. I got in my car and drove away without responding. 9 days later, Jennifer called. "Results are in. You're not the father. Probability of paternity 0%. The report definitively excludes you." I'd known this was coming, had been certain for weeks, but hearing it confirmed, seeing the scientific proof that Kate's baby wasn't mine, still hit hard. My marriage was over. The family we'd been trying to build for 2 years was a lie. Everything I'd believed about our future had been fiction. "What happens now?" I asked. "I'll file the paternity test results with the court. We'll proceed with the divorce. Since you're not the biological father and the affair is documented, you'll be excluded from any parental rights or responsibilities. The biological father, Tom, will be legally identified and responsible for child support. Does Tom know? Not yet, but Kate will likely inform him once she receives the test results, or we can notify him through legal channels if necessary. I want him to know. I want him to understand that his affair has consequences beyond hotel room fun. We'll make sure he knows." That evening, Jennifer sent Kate's attorney the paternity test results, along with a motion to finalize the divorce quickly. Kate's attorney responded within hours, requesting an emergency conference call. The call happened the next day. Kate's attorney, Patricia, sounded "My client is devastated by the test results. She acknowledges the affair and asks if there's any possibility of reconciliation." "Absolutely not," I said firmly. "The marriage is over. I want the divorce finalized as quickly as possible." Jennifer jumped in. "We're proposing a straightforward vision. Mr. Harrison keeps the house. He can afford the mortgage and my client can. Assets split 50-50, debts split 50-50, no spousal support given the brief marriage and both parties' earning capacity. And critically, Mr. Harrison is excluded from any parental obligations or rights regarding the child. Patricia was quiet for a moment. And the biological father? We have his identity. Tom Barrett, age 27, personal trainer, will be notifying him of his parental rights and responsibilities. He can choose to be involved or not, but financially he'll be responsible. My client wants to speak with Mr. Harrison directly? No, I said. All communication goes through attorneys. I have nothing to say to Kate. The call ended. Jennifer assured me the divorce would be finalized within 60-90 days given Kate wasn't contesting and we had a clear settlement. But the drama wasn't over. 2 days later, my phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Is this Mike? A man's voice, young, uncertain. Who is this? This is Tom Barrett. I need to talk to you about Kate. My grip on the phone tightened. What about her? She showed up at my apartment yesterday, crying, saying you divorced her, saying she's pregnant with my baby, and I'm legally responsible. Dude, I had no idea she was married. She said she was single. She said, stop, you didn't know she was married. No, I swear. She came to the gym, hired me as a trainer, started flirting with me, said she was going through a breakup but was basically single. We started sleeping together like 3 months ago, but she never mentioned a husband, never wore a ring. I thought she was just another single client. I wanted to believe he was lying, but his panic sounded genuine. She told you she was single? Yes. If I'd known she was married, if I'd known she was trying to get pregnant, I never would have touched her. I'm 27 years old. I'm not ready for a kid. I don't even know her that well beyond the gym. Well, congratulations. You're going to be a father and you're going to be financially responsible for the next 18 years. Can I contest that? I didn't consent to having a kid. She talked to a lawyer, but in Texas, if you're the biological father, which DNA testing will confirm, you're responsible whether you consented or not. This is insane. My life is ruined. Join the club. My marriage is ruined. My trust is destroyed. My entire future is blown apart. At least you only have child support. I almost ended up raising your kid thinking it was mine. Silence. Then, I'm sorry, man. I really didn't know. Kate seemed normal, single. I had no idea she was this manipulative. Now you know. Welcome to understanding who she really is. Tom hung up. I sat there processing the call. If Tom was telling the truth, if Kate had hidden her marriage from him, then she'd manipulated both of us. She'd used Tom for physical satisfaction, used me for financial security, and tried to trap us both into parenting a child she'd conceived through lies. The divorce finalized 67 days after I'd filed. Kate didn't contest anything, signed the papers, accepted the settlement. The house went to me. Assets split 50-50 as agreed. I was legally and definitively excluded from any parental rights or responsibilities for Kate's child. Tom was identified as the biological father with accompanying child support obligations. The day the divorce was final, I moved back into our house. It felt strange and empty without Kate's presence, but also clean, like I was reclaiming my space from the contamination of her lies. I heard through mutual friends that Kate had tried to get Tom involved in the pregnancy. He'd refused. He'd hired an attorney, was court-ordered child support once the baby was born, but wanted zero personal involvement. He felt betrayed and manipulated, which he was. Kate had destroyed 2 relationships with her affair and lies. 6 months after our divorce, Kate gave birth to a daughter. I saw the announcement on social media, a photo of a newborn, caption about being blessed. No mention of the father, no mention of me, just Kate positioning herself as a brave single mother bringing a child into the world alone. Our mutual friends who were still in touch with her reported she was struggling, working full-time in real estate while managing childcare alone. Tom paid child support but wanted nothing to do with Kate or the baby. Kate's parents helped some, but their relationship was strained after they'd learned the full truth about the affair and paternity deception. 1 year after the divorce, I'd rebuilt my life substantially. I'd gone to therapy to process the betrayal and trust issues. I'd focused on work, got promoted to engineering director with a salary increase to $145,000. I dated a few women casually, nothing serious, but I was open to the possibility of finding someone genuine someday. I heard Kate had tried to reach out through friends, sending messages about regret and apologies and wishing things had been different. I never responded. There was nothing to say. She'd made her choices. I'd made mine. We'd both live with the consequences. 18 months post-divorce, I met someone named Rachel at a tech conference. She was a project manager at a different company, smart and funny and refreshingly honest. We started dating slowly, carefully. I told her about Kate, our fourth date. The whole ugly story of infidelity, pregnancy deception, and divorce. Rachel's response was perfect. That's horrible. I'm sorry you went through that, but I'm glad you found out when you did. Raising another man's child while being lied to would have destroyed you eventually. It almost did anyway, but you survived. You protected yourself. You did what you needed to do. That takes strength. 2 years after the divorce, Rachel and I got engaged. Simple proposal, nothing elaborate, just honest and heartfelt. We planned a small wedding, talked about building a life together, discussed having kids eventually when we were both ready. Everything Kate and I should have had, but she destroyed with her lies and manipulation. I heard through the social media grapevine that Kate's daughter was now 2 years old. Kate was still single, still working, still struggling with the reality of being a single parent whose child's father wanted nothing to do with them beyond court-ordered support payments. Her Instagram showed pictures of a toddler and captions about resilience and strength, but friends said Kate was lonely, regretful, and still dealing with the social consequences of what she'd done. 3 years after the divorce, Rachel and I got married. 50 guests, simple ceremony, celebration of actual partnership built on honesty and trust. Kate wasn't there, obviously. Neither were the mutual friends who'd sided with her or tried to excuse her behavior. Just people who and understood what real commitment looked like. On my wedding day, Ryan pulled me aside. "You good?" "I'm great. This is what marriage should be, what it should have been with Kate if she'd been honest." "You dodged a massive bullet with her, you know that, right?" "I know. Finding out when I did, before the baby was born, before I was legally trapped, saved my entire future." 4 years after discovering Kate's affair, I'm 38. Rachel and I are discussing having kids soon. My career is thriving. I own my house outright. I've processed the trauma of Kate's betrayal through therapy and time. I'm happy in ways I never was during my marriage. Kate, from what I hear, is 36 and still struggling. Her daughter is 4 now. Tom still pays support but has never met his child. Kate works long hours while juggling single parenthood. She's tried dating, but her reputation for the affair and pregnancy deception follows her. Most men run when they hear the story. The few who stick around eventually leave when they realize Kate hasn't changed. She's still manipulative, still dishonest, still prioritizing what she wants over truth and integrity. She sent me a Facebook message on what would have been our 10th wedding anniversary. I didn't read it initially. Rachel saw the notification first and asked if I wanted her to delete it. I decided to read it just once, then block Kate permanently. "Mike, I know you probably won't read this, but I need to try. I think about you every day, about what I destroyed, about the life we could have had. I was selfish and scared and stupid. I thought Tom represented something exciting and new, but really, he was just a distraction from my own insecurities about fertility and life. I should have talked to you, should have been honest. Instead, I lied and cheated and tried to trap you into raising a child that wasn't yours. I understand why you hate me. I hate myself. My daughter is beautiful, but every time I look at her, I'm reminded of what I sacrificed. You, our marriage, our future, for a moment of selfish stupidity. I'm sorry. I'll always be sorry. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be happy. K." I read it once, then I blocked her on every platform and deleted the message because here's what Kate didn't understand. Her apology, however genuine, didn't change anything. She was sorry she got caught, sorry she faced consequences, sorry her life turned out harder than she'd expected. But being sorry doesn't undo betrayal, doesn't restore trust, doesn't give back the years I lost or the trauma I endured because of her lie. 5 years after discovering the affair, I sometimes reflect on how differently things could have gone. If I hadn't noticed those hotel charges, if I hadn't tracked the conception timing, if I hadn't hired a private investigator, I would have spent 9 months excited about becoming a father, would have been in the delivery room when Kate gave birth, would have signed the birth certificate, would have been legally presumed the father, and then months or years later, the truth would have come out. Through DNA testing for medical reasons, or Kate confessing during an argument, or Tom finding out and revealing everything. But by then, I would have been legally responsible, emotionally attached, financially obligated, trapped in a situation created entirely by Kate's manipulation and lies. The timing of discovery saved me. Finding out at 8 weeks pregnant, early enough to file for divorce, request prenatal testing, and establish the truth before the baby was born, protected me from 18 years of legal obligation to another man's child. Today, I'm grateful for my suspicion, grateful for those hotel charges I noticed, grateful for my decision to hire David Chen to investigate, grateful for acting quickly once I had evidence, hesitating, trying to give Kate the benefit of the doubt, hoping for innocent explanations, would have cost me everything. The lessons I learned from Kate's betrayal have shaped how I live now. Trust, but verify. Rachel and I have complete transparency, shared finances, shared calendars, shared passwords, not because either of us distrusts the other, but because total honesty prevents the kind of secret life Kate lived. Actions speak louder than words. Kate said she loved me while sleeping with Tom. Her words meant nothing because her actions betrayed her true priorities. Protect yourself. I could have confronted Kate emotionally, given her chances to explain, believed her denials. Instead, I gathered evidence, consulted professionals, and acted strategically. That approach saved my future. Some betrayals are unforgivable. People can change, relationships can heal, mistakes can be overcome. But deliberate, sustained deception designed to trap someone into life-altering obligations? That's beyond redemption. 6 years after the affair, Kate occasionally appears in my thoughts, not with longing or regret, but as a reminder of the person I was when I was with, trusting to the point of naivety, accommodating to the point of being exploited, willing to ignore warning signs because I wanted to believe in the marriage I thought we had. I'm not that person anymore. Kate's betrayal forced me to become someone smarter, more cautious, more self-protective. In a strange way, I'm grateful for the lesson. Even though the cost was 7 years of marriage and the devastation of discovering my wife's affair and pregnancy deception. Rachel knows this version of me, the one who learned the hard way not to ignore his instincts. She appreciates that I'm thoughtful about trust, that I value honesty above everything, that I won't tolerate deception in any form. Our relationship is stronger because of what I learned from Kate. 7 years after that terrible day when I held a pregnancy test and knew something was wrong, I'm finally at peace. Kate is part of my past, a painful chapter that taught me invaluable lessons but doesn't define my future. I have a wife who values truth, friends who supported me through crisis, and the knowledge that I protected myself when it mattered most. And somewhere Kate is raising a daughter alone, working full-time, managing the consequences of her choices. The exciting affair with Tom turned into a burden of single parenthood when he wanted nothing to do with her or the child. The security of marriage to me turned into financial struggle when I walked away. The baby she thought would lock me in turned into a constant reminder of what she lost. I don't hate Kate anymore. Hate requires emotional investment I no longer have. She's just someone I used to know who taught me painful but necessary lessons about trust, betrayal, and the importance of protecting yourself when the person who's supposed to love you is actually destroying you. The baby, Kate's daughter, is 7 now. I've never met her, never seen her except in social media photos. She's innocent in all this. A child who deserves better than a manipulative mother and an absent father. But she's not my responsibility, not my daughter, not my problem to solve. That realization that I successfully avoided being trapped into raising another man's child still brings relief, because if the timing had been different, if I'd discovered the affair 1 month later or 2 months later, I might not have escaped. I might be legally bound to a child that isn't mine, paying support to an ex-wife who deceived me, living a life built on lies I was forced to accept. Instead, I'm free, married to someone honest, building a future based on truth, grateful every day that I noticed those hotel charges, tracked the conception timing, hired that investigator, and acted quickly when I learned the truth. Kate thought she could manage a double life, thought she could have her affair with Tom while maintaining the security of marriage to me, thought she could get pregnant with Tom's baby and pass it off as mine without consequences. She was wrong. That miscalculation cost her everything she thought she'd secured: the marriage, the stability, the partner who would have supported her through anything if she'd only been honest. Some betrayals are so profound they can never be forgiven or forgotten. Kate's was one of those, and I'm grateful I discovered it in time to save myself before her lies destroyed my entire future.